Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the February 3rd, 2025 City of Lebanon Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. Roll call, please.
Okay, Corey Koontz, absent. Chad Kiger. Here. Bruce Polly.
Here.
Ron Edwards. Here. Lori Gross. Here.
Okay, we have 4 of the 5 tonight. Approval of minutes. Has everybody looked at the minutes? And if there's no objection, I would like to have a motion.
Make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Minutes are approved. Okay, we also have the election of officers tonight. I'll open it for, do we want to do all 3 at the same time, or the president, vice president, or the chairman, vice chairman, and secretary all at the same time, or individually? I don't care.
How about doing them all at once?
Okay.
Keep it as is.
Second.
I was going to give it up.
I know, that's why I jumped in.
Is that your motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a motion.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so I will be the chairman, Chad's the vice chairman, and Kelly will be the secretary. Okay, the old business, we don't have any. On new business, the first one, docket number 25-6, Davis Building Group, has asked to be continued until the March 3rd meeting. So we've only got one thing on the docket tonight. It's 25-7, Tiger Logistics LLC requesting a development standard variance to construct an addition to their existing facility located at 640 Ransdell Road. Property is zoned general industrial and is in the thoroughfare overlay district. Mr. Bontrager.
Thank you, Bruce. Good evening, board members. I'll give you a little bit of a background on this property here, walk through the variance request that's before you tonight. So this is a property that'll probably look familiar to you. About two and a half years ago, it came before the board when the Tiger Logistics LLC company purchased the property. As you can see here in the overlay district, this is a site just off the interstate, sandwiched between the interstate and Ransdell Road. So when they purchased this property a couple years ago, they looked to build this accessory structure that you see here that's closer to the interstate. And there is a series of variances that were necessary in order to accommodate that development that came through the July 2022 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. A series of, looks like 6 different BZA variances. And so they did construct that building. They have been running a business at that location, and now they are looking to consolidate 2 of their operations and would bring their headquarters to this site. And now the primary structure, which is located here closer to Ransdell Road, needs to be expanded in order to accommodate that administrative move. And so the request for you here tonight is based on the fact that that existing structure there is a legally existing non-conforming structure, because in the general industrial zoning classification, it has a 100-foot front setback. That existing building sits 42 feet from the Ransdell Road right-of-way, so it is a non-conforming structure. It was constructed that way before the general industrial zoning district and those setback standards existed. And frankly, these sites wouldn't even be buildable if they were required to meet the general industrial setbacks. So this site, in order to accommodate what they're wanting to do, and I'll switch to the site plan here. Essentially what they're going to do is they're not going to increase the nonconformity. It'll remain 42 feet from that front property line. They're basically expanding to the, I guess, southeast. Existing is the hatched area, gray hatched area here. What you see in red would be the expansion of the building. However, while it's not becoming any more nonconforming, what the ordinance would suggest is anytime you are modifying an existing nonconforming structure, the structure and the expansion needs to be brought into conformance with the UDO, which in this case would require that existing building to be picked up and moved about 58 feet further away from the property line and then expanded onto. So because that's not a very viable option in this case to be able to do that, instead then they are coming before the Board of Zoning Appeals for a variance request from the front building setback of 100 feet to allow the existing building and the expansion that's proposed here to be at the same 42-foot setback that exists there today. So that's the request before you here tonight, and we'll just one more thing you kind of see. So the elevation or the building that you see from the street is this elevation D that you see down here in the bottom right-hand corner. So you can see they're using a very similar type of material expanding onto the building to what you see there that exists now. So again, on any variance request, there are 3 findings that must be met in order to consider a variance request. The first is that the approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. And in this case, the request of relief from the minimum front building setback requirement poses no imminent threat to public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community. The addition will maintain a similar front back as the existing building, which has had no issues. Second, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Staff has determined that the requested variance will not affect the area in an adverse manner because the proposed addition maintains a similar setback as the existing structure. The addition will not have any different impact on the surrounding area than already exists on the site. And kind of going back to the aerial, you can see the setbacks are relatively similar all the way across here. Actually, you can't because it's kind of hidden by the legend, but it has the same setbacks of the buildings on either side of the road up and down it. So again, very, very similar impacts in this area. And the third criteria is a strict application of terms of the UDO will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. And staff has determined strict application will result in practical difficulties. As I mentioned previously, UDO would require not only the proposed addition to meet that 100-foot setback, but also the existing structure. So you're essentially picking up that existing structure and moving it 58 feet back, which would basically put it right in the middle of the other structure. And essentially rendering this site very, very limited use if they were to have to meet that, because again, you've got 50-foot setbacks on all the other property lines, so you'd end up having a postage stamp in the middle that you could build on if they were required to meet those front building setbacks. And so we have determined that there is a practical difficulty in the use of this property. So with that then, staff recommendation is approval of the development standards variance request that permit relief from the minimum front building setback requirement of the UDO to allow them to add onto the building at the 42-foot front setback. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
On that elevation D, that lower third, is that masonry?
No, I think there is a fence there right now, and I think that's what's
the fence
represented
I'm
there.
looking at.
Yeah, I think that might be what that is.
Okay. Well, probably is looking at the side.
Yeah, and they did actually in 2022, and this is here last time, they did get a variance to allow the metal building construction that's out there.
Any other questions for Ben? Thank you, sir. Is the applicant in town or here tonight? Would you care to step forward and address?
My name is Paul Nashert with Redemption Engineering. I'm the civil, put together the plans. The owner has baseball practice tonight, so he couldn't be here. But they do be in our properties, AKA Tiger Logistics, does love doing business in Lebanon and wants to move their headquarters from Brownsburg into town here. And they need a little bit more space to do that. So that's the reason for our request of this zoning appeal. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
What kind of business is this?
Portable restrooms.
Are these outhouses stored outside primarily?
Some of them are, but some of them are the nicer ones that you like take to a wedding. The trailer, those are mostly stored inside. They're also pursuing acquisition of other property in the Lebanon area, so they have more storage for those wedding type units.
You store your disposal trucks, are they stationed there as well?
I have not seen them there. So to my knowledge, and I've been there quite a few times.
Okay, just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, I think, do you have any questions, Lori?
I have a couple additional questions for Ben.
Hold on just a minute. Let's
Close the public.
go ahead. Let's open it for the public, being this is a public meeting and we'll have the public end of it. So it is open if somebody from the public cares to address it. We'll close the public end of the meeting and Ben.
And do we have any, in our UDO, I know this isn't specifically pertaining to the variances that are before us tonight, but do we have any local ordinances around this type of business and in this particular zone?
Yeah, you won't find portable restroom businesses in the UDO use table, but they do fall under more of a general industrial zoning classification. It is a permitted use. They've actually been operating this business out of there since 2022. There was quite a bit of discussion about how those are cleaned and making sure that that's disposed of properly. And I know we've had a number of conversations with the property owner about that to make sure that they're not washing them down the storm drain, for example. So we've definitely been on top of that and make sure.
I noticed there's a ditch there behind the property, and
Yeah.
that was going to be my other question is like, what is the process for?
Yeah, so they have drains within the building, and so they're required to wash them such that they go down the drains, and that's a sanitary drain as opposed to in the storm drain.
So the city sewer? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Any concerns from the city in terms of proximity to the interstate and the visibility into this yard and the business?
Yeah, they've met all the requirements. They've got the fence along the interstate to screen. You really can't see what's going on back there from the interstate. I think it's actually a little higher.
Okay.
The grade is higher there, so with that and the fence, you can't really see from the interstate into the property very well.
So the parcel's above the interstate grade?
I believe it is higher
Okay.
there than lower.
I couldn't tell from the satellite image.
Yeah, it's
All you can
not.
see is a very 3 or 4 inches of the top, I think.
Yeah, you might be able to see the tops of the buildings, but you really can't see the activity within. And with this, I guess let me go back to the aerial. With this building they built that blocks a good part of the view of that property as you're coming northbound, and there's quite a bit of vegetation along the interstate too. There's a pretty good screen there, actually from both sides. There's a with the fence out front, you really can't see what's going on back there either. And keep in mind, this was like a metal recycling junkyard before too,
Right.
so this is actually better than what it's been. They've cleaned it up a ton.
Okay, thank you.
They are going to have a pump out. Will they have a pump out in the building?
Yeah, I don't know that since the owner's not here, I don't remember exactly the process. They do some cleaning, but I don't think they do all of the disposal here. They've got multiple sites. This is primarily a storage yard where they take them out to different sites, but they do some cleaning here, and we've made sure to stay on top of making sure that they're draining it properly into the sanitary drain.
Okay, if there's no further questions, it's that time, would entertain them.
I make a motion to approve the development standards variance request to permit relief from the minimum front building setback requirement of the UDO.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, have a second. Kelly?
Ed Kiger,
Yes.
Bruce Pauly,
Yes.
Ron Edwards. Yes. Lori Gross.
Yes.
Carries, congratulations. Is there any other business from anybody, any questions or anything? If not, we will adjourn. Next meeting is March 3rd, Monday, March 3rd, right here.
Motion to adjourn. Oh,
Before I second that, I wanted to talk about the April meeting. I think that falls under spring break, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
can't answer that question.
But maybe we can address that at the next meeting, but Okay. I know we've moved it in years past, and I
Right.
just thought it was worth checking. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.